Welcome to the We Shine Well podcast, where I have real conversations with thought leaders in wellness to help you live your most vibrant, aligned, and purposeful life. I'm your host, Zoe Kelsey, founder of We Shine Well. Here, we share honest stories, gems of wisdom, and insight to spark clarity and guide your next right step, so you can shine brighter from the inside out. Now let's dive in. Today, I'm joined by Gwen Dittmar, a somatic healer, breathwork guide, and human design practitioner and coach. Gwen's work integrates embodiment, psychology, somatic awareness, and spiritual insight to help people heal deeply and live with more authenticity, trust, alignment, and presence. She teaches that healing begins when we slow down and listen to our bodies and minds. We talk about the power of our frequency, breathwork, how human design offers a map back to our true selves, and more. This is a powerful conversation about healing from the inside out. Let's dive in. Hi, Gwen. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited. You are a wealth of knowledge with so much expertise and just like depth in so many modalities that I'm excited to unpack all of it today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So can you kind of take us back? Like, what led you to this somatic healing work that you do today?
Oh my. I think it's been like an evolution. I think as we heal and grow and expand, like so does the work that we do in the world. So I would definitely say, as a child, I was always seeking, I was always sensing something bigger and deeper than me, and just really spent most of my life looking and searching and studying and researching. And then I would say, just like each iteration kind of has like built into like what I'm doing now. So whether it was like going and getting my master's in spiritual psychology or different like coaching trainings, then that kind of evolved into, shamanism, that evolved into nervous system, evolved into human design and breath work. Yeah, I just each iteration has kind of led to be what it is, I think, now. And I think each layer has kind of remained consistent, but maybe it just goes like deeper each time, I think, that a practitioner, heals and grows and expands.
I mean, I feel like we all are on our paths of our own kind of like healing journeys. And I know that you've had various kind of pieces of this from like being in research and corporate and just like coaching and looking at thinking about energy as like medicine and somatic healing and stuff like that. And it's like so powerful to like know ourselves, to be like, what is at the root of this for me, and what are these modalities that are like guiding and shaping me to like become more of myself. So like, I guess when you're working with your clients, what is your hope for them as they come to you and they leave you?
I mean, I would say whatever their main intention is, that's like kind of what I always hold. I would also say probably that they really get to learn how to use everything in their human experience to know who they are, like as a human here in this lifetime, but also know who they are as a soul, and also be able to be more sovereign in reading energy and frequency, so that they're not like pulled down and weighted down by what's happening in life, that they are able to, be present with it, but also be able to alchemize it and to really use it, to know themselves, to know others, to know something greater than themselves, and to know that like there really is a purpose to everything that they're experiencing.
And there's somebody who's listening who they're like, maybe I'm like I outsourced my energy, and they're kind of like feeling that. how do they come back to even the frequency, like you mentioned, of like who they are?
I mean, again, like everybody I think is different in the way, like if I work one-on-one with somebody and they think that's one of the benefits of being able to work one-on-one is being able to really cater to like how that shows up for that particular person.
Mhm.
Because I think we all have these like unique ways that our humanness
Yeah.
delivers grit, right? For us to
Mhm.
discover the beauty that is really inside of us and all
Yeah.
around us. Um, but I would say, in essence, like I really believe that, what people want, right? The goal that they want here isn't outside of them. It isn't something they have to change or become. It's
Mhm.
it's it's already there in a multidimensional reality, which is
Yeah.
truly we are in a multidimensional reality, even though it seems like it's not.
Mhm.
And so it's not about like trying to be somebody to get that thing or to have to achieve that thing. For me, and what I've seen over the years is that, or how I describe it to clients, is that it's really about like removing all the things that are in the way between
Mhm.
where they are and what they deeply desire. So that once they start releasing and removing those things or having truth, and awareness of it, of what it really is or what it really was, the
Mhm.
more they just naturally and like gracefully rise like into this essence of what it is they think they want. And I think for a lot of people, they may think that it's in a job or a partner or a state of health or
Mhm.
finance or creation or creativity in the world or a family or
Yeah.
right, fill in the blank with like whatever thing it is that we think that we want.
Mhm.
However, I've just been doing this like for 20 years, and so I know that like even when people arrive here, they start to realize, oh, it has absolutely nothing to do with this thing that I thought I wanted or I needed. It had to do with like learning how to relate to myself, how to relate to life,
Mm.
how to relate to others, how to relate to any of the things that I was relating to in
Yeah.
order to experience this thing that I thought I needed to experience in order to feel the way I want to feel. So
Mhm.
I think in that evolution and in that like healing, people realize that everything is in them and
Mhm.
everything is um, a lot less real than what they think it is, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, so like for instance, if somebody wants to have a more harmonious divorce or co-parenting or a better experience in their work and more money, a better home, like what are all the things that keep you from that? And a lot of it has to do with things that people would think are not even related to the thing that it is that they want to create in their life.
Mhm.
Um, but once they start to quickly realize that, then it really demystifies everything else that they think is in the way and
Mhm.
really opening to how to connect more deeply into themselves to experience this thing and that this thing is actually right here, right now. I mean, it's kind of also talked about
Yeah.
very in a similar way, like through like the Joe Dispenza work or
Mhm.
through visualization or manifestation. I mean, obviously through the lens of human design, we all kind
Yeah.
of move through these things in different ways.
Mhm.
And I think somatically we move through these things in different ways and also based on our nervous systems and our painful experiences or our trauma or our wounding or just the misbeliefs, the misunderstandings, the misidentifications, the misuses of our energy. It all shows up in different ways for all of us. But I
Mhm.
think that's why I've never really niched myself, is
Yeah.
because it's all the same thing. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter whether you want to have a baby or you want to create a new career or you want to have a business or buy a home, right? Or
Mhm.
find that partner. It's kind of all the same thing.
Mhm. And it
Yeah.
sounds like so much so like how can we unravel who we aren't and who like we've come to think we should be to truly become who we're meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and not even like who we're meant to be, because who we're meant to be is who we already are.
Yeah.
That's also like the misconception,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? It's like that is you, right?
Uh-huh.
Right here and right now. So what prevents you from knowing that, feeling that, and relating to yourself, to your life, to all the things that you want in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Like what is that that prevents you from that?
Yeah. Yeah. In a way, I kind of think of like the metaphor of like the Russian nesting dolls too. Of like there are multiple layers and like you're already in there.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so much of like what you do and talk about is like all related to somatic medicine. Tell me more about what this means and like what's possible through healing in this way.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, as like a type A and a high achiever and like a doer, and probably also because of my human design, like having that line one, I'm an investigator. I like to research and deep dive. So I think most of my life, I've had a lot of success from researching and studying and like it, engaging in things and really
Mm-hmm.
learning things and doing them.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of hit a point where I started to realize that like just learning how to be truly present with everything that is inside of us, that is happening
Mm-hmm.
inside of us,
Mm-hmm.
to like truly learn how to be the witness and experience it. That is what kind of creates the medicine. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, the medicine is inside of our own soma and our own experiences, visceral, emotional, mental, spiritual, physiological, that we're having inside of ourselves. And when we actually like sit with that, we're sitting with the medicine. And then the
Mm-hmm.
medicine starts to, of presence with everything that is, starts to heal us. So, for instance, somebody is experiencing difficulty with people in their life, let's say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something relevant like that a client has shared recently. And they have, challenging people, places, and things in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And, what they start to really become aware of is like the common denominator between all of that is that they're realizing that they don't have control, right? And then that
Mm-hmm.
brings up fear. So it's like that's where we start with somebody. We start with like close your eyes and move into what happens inside of you when you recognize that you have no control. You have
Mm-hmm.
no control over the state of the world, over government, over politics, over finances, over your job, over the people in your life, how they relate to you, what they do, what they don't do, how they show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when people start to really sit with that, then they start to notice, ooh, I feel, I don't know, my heart starts to feel heavy. It's racing. And then we like go into the texture, into the temperatures, into the sensations that people are feeling as they're really present with what happens inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I think a lot of people are very, as you shared, right? Like therapized, right? They've
Yeah.
done tons of therapy. They know they have mom issues or they have dad issues or they have trauma or they have had very painful experiences. They know where a lot of this stuff, right, contextually is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like whatever attachment theory or right nervous
Yeah.
system or things that they're like things they're holding in their body, an illness or an injury. But it's only when you start to really become present to like what happens inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when you're starting to notice all that stuff come up, it's very interesting. People will kind of like very quickly jump up into their head. Oh, well, that's how you know, when I was a little kid, and I'm like, no, no, that's
Mm-hmm.
you moving up into your head. Come back down into the wisdom of your body. I want you to
Mm-hmm.
sit with that energy that's moving in your soma right now, in the cells of your body, that's
Mm-hmm.
giving you feedback. It's giving you information right now. And you're
Yeah.
actually saying no to information, wise information, because you want to go up into your head and be in the story, right? Or in the
Mhm.
context of it. So when people kind of come back down into their body, number one, they're like learning how to actually sit with themselves and with their body and what they're feeling in their body, because that's what's like at the core of so many issues that we have, right? People go into analysis, they go into thinking, they go into spiral, they go into
Mhm.
fixing, controlling, analyzing. And then that leads to all these other maladaptive behaviors and coping mechanisms of, you know, um, drinking, using drugs, controlling people, codependency, like fawning, freezing, flighting, all of it, right? And
Mhm.
so when people learn to just sit with, oh, okay, this feels heavy. And then the
Mhm.
more that we go into like the texture, into the visceral sensations, the colors, the temperatures that they're feeling, what that does is it reconnects them with what they have distanced themselves from,
Mhm.
and they start to create safety inside of themselves. Not like a facilitator can never create safety.
Yeah.
That happens inside of somebody with themselves. And
Mhm.
so they start to realize, oh, this is sticky. It feels like tar.
Mm.
It's thick. It won't move. It's
Yeah.
black, and then like we will have people dialogue with that energy. Okay, great. Give that sticky black tar energy a voice.
Mhm.
What does it want to say to you, right? To
Yeah.
you. And then again, a lot of times people get very tripped up by that part. They're like, well, I don't know if this is me talking or if this is the energy. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, just start with what's most simple. I'm black. I'm sticky. I'm tar. I'm
Mhm.
stuck. I'm not
Yeah.
moving. Right. And
Mhm.
then people realize like, oh, okay, like this is the energy.
Mhm.
And then they can typically, not always, sometimes it takes people maybe multiple sessions if they've really been safe by staying in their head. So it's like a
Mhm.
process of learning how to learn to create safety inside of your own body.
Yeah.
But then eventually, like the wisdom of that sticky somatic energy, right? It starts to share its medicine with people. It
Mhm.
starts to say, like, when did you come in? How old was this person? What was going on in their life? Sometimes that's where people will kind of go back up into story again. Oh, well,
Mhm.
I know, like, I didn't like, no, this is not you. This is this energy. Like,
Mhm.
why do these energies drop into our bodies when we
Yeah.
are usually young or when we're unconscious or when we're in a state where we are in fear or we don't have control or we're not totally conscious?
Mhm.
And when these energies come in, they start to create a frequency inside of our body, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes they come in through thought forms, sometimes they come in through other people, places, or things,
Mhm.
but then they start to create an energy, and then they start to operate as if they are us. And then people get confused and they think, oh, I'm a person that has this anxiety inside of me, or I am a
Mhm.
person who, gets fearful or overwhelmed or angry.
Mhm.
Well, maybe, but maybe not,
Yeah.
And then when people start to realize when that energy came in, what was happening around why that energy came in, what was its
Mhm.
purpose for coming in, what has it been doing inside of them all this time? And and then people start to see and separate themselves from these energies of like, oh, wow. Like
Mhm.
I didn't realize that that thing when I was 8 years old was so deeply connected to the issues that I'm having in my entrepreneurial business right now. Wow.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they start to see the freedom in that. And then they start to say, wow, like, I don't know if I really need this anymore to keep me safe or to protect me or to
Mhm.
distract me. Right. Or to keep
Yeah.
me hyper vigilant. And so then it becomes a more symbiotic energy and relationship between this like darker energy where the person can say like this isn't serving me anymore, and
Mm.
then that energy might say, yeah, well, I'm accustomed to being here, or I don't want to leave, or this is cozy for me, or where am I going to go? Or are you going to be safe if I leave? Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, when, just like in relationships, when we can have healthy dialogue, even if we don't agree, or even if we're like operating from like a different place,
Yeah.
if there can just be honesty and open dialogue, that's what creates freedom. That's what creates medicine.
Mhm.
And that's why co-regulation, that's why like relationships can be a really deep, beautiful place for us to heal our deepest wounds, is because there's this like open dialogue between two frequencies, quote unquote,
Mhm.
people, right?
Mhm.
And maybe their hurts or their needs or their desires. And so then these energies, that's where people start to be able to use their own frequency and their own energy, like through their breath or through their movements, to be able to clear that energy up and out, and using the energies of elements and nature. Because
Mhm.
when we're doing these things all by ourselves, it's really hard and heavy. Like, and I think
Mhm.
that's why a lot of people feel so heavy in life, is
Yeah.
because they're trying to do everything by themselves. But we know from shamans, it's like the oldest medicine. It's 30,000 years old. So it's
Mhm.
like, why not tap back into that wisdom of
Mhm.
using elements, of using water, wind, earth, fire, to help us clear these kind of opposing energies inside of us, so that we
Mhm.
can like return and bring who we fully are, like all the way back into like all of ourselves, right? So like a client will start to do that and move that energy back through that space, for instance, in their heart. And then
Mhm.
they're like, oh my God, like literally for the first time in my life, I'm not feeling anxiety.
Wow.
Right. And it's simply, and I love doing this with clients and teaching other people how to do this,
Mhm.
either with themselves or to help facilitate this for other people. Because when someone does that inside of themselves, similar to like being a coach, right? As
Mhm.
a coach, if I'm telling people, then I'm actually consulting. I'm not really being a coach. A coach is
Yeah.
asking questions and letting people come to their own wisdom and their own answers. Same thing with healing. Like,
Mhm.
I can do Reiki and I am trained in Reiki, but I would prefer to let people know how to heal themselves and to feel their own
Mhm.
different frequencies, and know how to start moving their own frequencies so that they can
Mhm.
return to a frequency of who they truly are,
Mhm.
right? Because then they're not going to be reliant on other people. Then they're going to be sovereign. And then
Yeah.
there's freedom. So,
Mhm.
and I do feel like the more we evolve as a species, and, human design is projecting this too. There's
Yeah.
going to be a huge shift in 2026, 2027, where like humans, I think we're building to be these sovereign beings that will be able to kind of like, hopefully without AI, be able to really, scan ourselves and
Yeah.
say, oh, look at that right over there, right?
Mhm.
There's something starting to build. There's a
Yeah.
sticky, dark energy starting to build here.
Mm.
And so, like, let me scan that and like bring my own frequency back into that so I can heal myself.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited for this. And I think, there's a lot of dark energy right now
Yeah.
because we're being invited to really know ourselves like on a whole nother level.
Mhm.
Yes, emotionally, somatically, mentally, right? We've seen that uptick in like yoga, meditation, breath work, chakra work, essential oils, sound healing, all of these things, I think are all guiding us to be able to be our own healers and these
Mhm.
sovereign beings.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the work that you're doing is just like so powerful, I feel like. And it's like, how can our body lead before our mind even does? And we live in this world where, like, most of the time we numb out, or we are just kind of taught to like hustle and go, 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 because that's the way of doing and being and living. But what you're teaching is truly the most powerful of like, how do we get back to who we are with like acknowledging what that frequency is, and even through these different modalities of breath or identifying their aligning and living our human design or whatever it may be in our with ourselves as well as others, to be able to like shift our identity in a way and show up to have more like harmony in ourselves but also the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I feel like that's why I really enjoy like these few tools, because I feel like they do hold like a very powerful key to understanding like where our humanness shows up in these like frequency tools that we are, right? These like
Mhm.
vessels and vehicles that we are. So, for instance, somebody's human design, right? As a projector
Yeah.
and your defined centers and your gates and your channels and all of your planets and what gates they line up in, your personal health system, all of that's going to give you a different blueprint than like for myself, right? As a manifester
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
all my gates and channels, etc. However, right, that's why I really enjoyed learning through like Karen Curry Parker, is because she would always say, yes, like this is your blueprint. Yes, like this is kind of innately like who you just naturally will default to
Yeah.
in this human experience, right? Like your soul came into this unique human experience to learn all these things because the soul needs a vessel. The
Yeah.
soul is very nebulous. It doesn't have that vessel to like have duality and polarity and grit. And
Mhm.
so it like comes into these vessels and these unique experiences so that it can learn these things that it came here to learn,
Mhm.
right? But you are also a quantum being. So
Mhm.
even though you innately are a projector and you're not going to function like a generator,
Mhm.
you can tap in and plug in, right, to
Yeah.
generative energy, and you can quantum experience what that is like. But
Mhm.
it is important, since we are in this third dimension, in this like plane, you do also need to honor like the vehicle, the vessel, the suit that you're in, right? So,
Mhm.
um, I really liked that she would frame things that like we are these quantum beings, but
Mhm.
that we also do have these, innate blueprints. So I feel like human design gives us kind of like a map
Mhm.
of how to navigate like who we really are.
Yeah.
And I don't know for you, but for me, like when I discovered my human design, I had been operating very differently than what my innate design actually is. And I think that's true for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I've been operating so out of alignment. And then I
Mhm.
think some people or a lot of other people are like, yeah, I've kind of always felt this. Yeah, this resonates for me.
Mhm.
And so, whatever camp you're in, you can use somatic medicine, you can use breath, you can use, presence, right? And frequency to tune into. Maybe you have to do it. Maybe you're somebody who has been operating very out of alignment.
Yeah.
And so you're going to do a lot more deconditioning work, right? A lot more maybe healing or somatic or noticing when you're acting out of alignment, when you're, choosing out of alignment and
Yeah.
how to switch back into alignment. And for some people, there may be a lot of layers associated to that. There may be a lot of like misbelief and a lot of story. So they may need to do a lot more like limbic retraining, especially people who have like an open ajna and an open
Mhm.
head or maybe an open throat. Then maybe there's other people who, right, they need to do a lot more like emotional healing. Maybe people who have like a more open emotional center in their human design.
Mhm.
So I think there's like a lot of different ways. And then, I feel like the breath is a really valuable way, even if we're just sitting here, right? Just kind of like the wind right now. I don't know how it is for you up where you are, but we're fairly close. It's been
Yes.
very windy,
Yes. Yeah. It's been crazy.
right? And so it's like just then when I said that, when I started to talk about breath, right? Like I saw the trees, they started to whip. And it's
Mhm.
like the wind, right, is talking to us. And it's like, yes, please breathe.
Mm.
and clear it out. Right? Like all the debris,
Mhm.
all of the conditioning. And I
Mhm.
do feel like the more conscious we are and intentional we are and connected we are, like to these really like ancient elements and
Mhm.
rituals of just breathing, of just like taking a stick and burning it and watching it burn away what no longer
Mhm.
serves, like planting something into the earth, right?
Yeah.
Or watering something and washing it away,
Mhm.
washing our hands, washing our feet, like just very simple acts, I think can be so like profound.
Mhm. Well, it's all like in a way, it's all a miracle. It's like it's a miracle that there was a seed planted and this tree has been here for like 100 years, or that we're even on a Zoom talking to each other in this very moment right now. And it's like when you shift, like even thinking about like, oh my God, like what had to be possible for this moment to happen right now? It's like kind of wild too. And I want to go back to like
It is.
human design too, because you mentioned, like, for anybody that's listening that doesn't know what human design is, can you give a high level of like what it is? And like you mentioned that there was such a shift in you when you found out what yours was and what living in alignment actually looked like.
I mean, human design, my understanding is it is a, it's an ancient philosophy that encompasses and integrates a handful of philosophies into one. It was a mystical experience by this man. His name was Alan, but he changed his name to Ruhu, 1987. And he had a very mystical experience where he started to hear things, hear something talking to him and downloading information to him. And he ended up starting to call it the voice. But over years, he really kept listening to this, writing the information down, and then it turned into what was known as like the Rave I Ching,
Mhm.
where it is Vedic astrology, the Chinese I Ching hexagram, the Hindu chakra system, quantum physics, and also the Kabbalah tree of life. And so it puts it into this one system. And if you're looking at a very old school chart, it'll have like the mandala all around it, and then in the center it shows you like your body chart, but really it integrates all these ancient philosophies into what is known as like your cosmic blueprint.
Mhm.
So it gives you a map of why your human came here, why your soul came here, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, where your sensitivities are, where your vulnerabilities are, where your purpose resides, and how to really live in alignment through this unique map of who you are
Mhm.
versus forcing yourself to be somebody and do things that you are not.
Mhm.
So I just find that it gave me a lot of I was one of those people that just needed to do a lot of deconditioning because I had really operated in a particular way. And I think still to this day, it's a little bit more difficult for me because like I'm a manifester and
Mhm.
I'm like one of like the types that's not here to respond, that's not here to wait, that's not looking for invitations. Actually, like there's a joke, amongst manifestors that if anybody invites you to something, it's like say no because it's not coming from you and
Mhm.
it's out of alignment,
Yeah.
but that's very hard to do in a
Mhm.
modern world where your kids are constantly inviting you, you're constantly responding to your children, to your clients, to requests, to things that need to be done every single day.
Mhm.
So, it's been a lot for me as a manifestor to really learn how to operate and function in a very generative world, in a very responding world,
Yeah.
um, but also how to do that right in a way that honors me.
Mhm.
And that I do find for a lot of clients, it's just this eye-opening experience. Like, one client in particular that I think of, I think a lot of times for non-sacral people in human design. So for those that don't know human design, when you look at this map, it kind of looks like a person, right? It
Yeah.
has like a head, another center, it has all these centers down the middle. There's some centers that go off to the side, But really the second center from the bottom, that's the center that is what's known as sacral. It's a sacral energy. It's an engine in our body. Some people have that sustainable engine and
Yeah.
some people don't.
Mhm.
And for the people that don't have that sustainable engine, that's a smaller percentage of people in our world that are non-sacral, that don't
Mhm.
have that constant sustainable energy to just keep going and going and going throughout their days and their weeks and their months and their years.
Mhm.
And so there's more of the world functions as this generative sacral energy that does have that engine that just goes and goes and goes.
Mhm.
So I find for the non-sacrals, discovering human design is really life-changing,
Mhm.
because then they realize why they've felt tired, or why they've longed for more rest than maybe most
Mhm.
people in their lives, or why it's hard for them to just kind of keep going and going and going. And yeah, like just, one client like who has a business, and it's a huge business, and their business was not going well. And so they were kind of like at the end of their rope, like they were ready
Mhm.
to like close the business.
Yeah.
And I just said, for 1 month, let's run an experiment. And if it
Mhm.
makes things better, great. And if it doesn't, then you're right back where you were. I'll refund you your money. Like we can call it quits.
Yeah.
Cause that's how much I believe in it. Like if somebody
Mhm.
really implements it,
Yeah.
it will really work. But it's very scary to do that, because
Yeah.
in a very generative, constantly moving, pushing, responding, just do it, cold call, make it happen, make it work. For people that are not meant to operate that way, it's very scary to like take a step back and just like let go of the reins. So there's certain things that those individuals really need to learn how to do. And like
Mhm.
trust is a big one of them, right?
Yeah.
And so, once like this individual really started to implement, which for this person, it was to work less and rest a lot more, which for their gender and the type of business that they were in and all of the other entrepreneurs that were around the person, was really, really hard to not
Mhm.
function that way.
Yeah.
But it's like they had been functioning that way for like 8 years and nothing was
Mhm.
working. So it's
Mhm.
like, let's try, right? So they stopped working as much. They only worked for like a very short, 4 or 5 hour period every day.
Yeah.
They stopped trying to make things happen. They spent a lot more time like really leaning into the strengths that they did have in their chart.
Mhm.
And, within a year, like the person's business has like radically transformed
Oh my.
financially, physically, like
Mhm.
emotionally, spiritually. The relationships have shifted and changed. Their health has changed.
Mhm.
So, but
Yeah.
it can be tough.
Well,
It can
I'm
be
a
tough.
projector, so like I don't have a defined sacral center either, and I feel like Alexandra Cole, so like I've become friends with her, and she's a human design coach too. And just learning that I was a projector and knowing what that means, I feel like it was the biggest permission slip. And I feel like every time I learn more about my human design, I feel like I joke with her that I'm like, I feel like every time I see you, like I like hit the jackpot for permission slips to just be like, you don't need to be doing it all. So it was actually learning that I was a projector, there was a permission slip that I needed to start We Shine Well, because I was like, I don't necessarily need to be the subject matter expert in everything. Like, I'm here to like see things other people might not, to connect the dots, to create the space for people to like come together to like create that greater impact through the connection too. And
Yeah.
like I was like, oh my god, invitations make so much sense. But I was also raised by, it was funny because only a couple weeks ago, I pulled up the human design charts for like my dad, my mom, and my brother. My mom and my brother are like the exact same generator, emotional, like 4-2 with the same like main gift. And I'm like, this makes so much sense. And then me and my dad are projectors. And
Wow.
my mom's always been like, you guys are just like so much more alike in the way that you live. I'm like, it's not a surprise.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
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 So,
Well, yeah, and it's interesting when I looked at my own family, I could see like how my mom and I were like very, very connected because we were both non-sacrals
mhm.
and everybody else in my family is sacral.
Yeah,
So, yes.
that's interesting. So
Yeah.
how, like, as a manifester, how do you kind of move through life of leaning into like those energy bursts and creative ideas that you have?
I mean, I think it's like I think similar to like a projector, learning how to trust and wait for the invitation to come.
Mhm.
A lot of people I think like look at manifestors and think, "Oh, that's so great. Like you get to inform, you get to initiate." But
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean that people are interested
Uh-huh.
or, are like on board or ready yet for what you're initiating and what you're informing about. So,
Mhm.
I would probably say learning how to honor and trust like that very inconsistent cycle
Uh-huh.
of, when rest is coming and how to really listen to a rest cycle, how to really listen to an urge, how to differentiate between urges and ideas. They're very,
Mhm.
very different. So
Mhm.
not every idea is an urge. Um, and so you really need to learn to discern and wait for the true urge because that's what you want to use your energy for. Um, yeah. And I think also how to navigate being in a very sacral world,
Yeah.
in a very sacral role as a mother, especially a single mother,
Mhm.
and how to still honor these cycles of work and rest that are very inconsistent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like in human design, you kind of touched on it too, is like there's this paradigm shift that is like coming this year next. Like, what does that really mean?
I mean, I think like for certain people and different like human design specialists or coaches or analysts, it's like I think it can kind of be subjective and mean different things. But I just feel like for me, I feel like this is why so much awareness has been growing about trauma and the nervous system and somatic healing and spirituality, breath work, meditation, yoga, like all of these things are allowing us to be really aware emotionally of
Mhm.
ourselves. But just as probably when, I mean, I wasn't alive when we made the split from being very like guttural people
Mhm.
to differentiating between splenic, intuitive, instinctual, gut,
Mhm.
and then emotional and emotional energy like of
Mhm.
the solar plexus. That was the an evolution that we went through,
Yeah.
and now we're going to be supposedly moving through this new evolution of like, yes, we have emotions, yes, we have emotional energy, but I feel like we're going to be attuning to even more awareness
Mhm.
of like frequency energies,
Mhm.
not just like I feel sad, but is that my sadness? Is that sadness of the people that I'm living with? Is that the sadness of the state of the world? Is
Mhm.
that the sadness of, I don't know, like dark alien energies? Like,
Yeah.
what is that sadness? And let me attune. And just as we're learning how to process our emotions, like in our traumas and kind of like differentiate between what's ours, what's our families, right? What is
Mhm.
our lineage and other generations? And I have myself and a lot of my clients are then starting to learn how to differentiate between like all of those unique energies of like my lifetime and my childhood, my family and generations and lineage, but then also like soul lineages of like all the
Mhm.
different lifetimes that you've led and the
Mhm.
things that you may still be carrying in your body as a soul that has incarnated through all these unique experiences.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of where we're evolving to,
Mhm.
um, and healing not only just like our generational human lineages, but like our soul lineages,
Mhm.
and then potentially even like cosmic lineages, of like other galaxies and cosmic realities that we as souls have lived in or are living in simultaneously. So,
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Wow. So much
yeah,
to unpack there, and it seems like you're already teaching people this work that is already like unfolding.
it's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's really powerful. And I think it just gives people, again, a lot of sovereignty and a lot of freedom and a lot of empowerment when
Mhm.
they start to realize like what is part of their current human experience, meaning
Mhm.
like this lifetime, what is something that they're healing for like the generational, for like the soul
Yeah.
lineage,
Mhm.
or the other cosmic experiences
Yeah.
that they've
Uh,
had as a frequency being.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Frequency is powerful. I have a friend actually that was like, "What you do frequently is your frequency." Like, she like posted a
Mm.
quote, and I was like, "Dang, that's a good one."
Yeah, that is really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, another, like, big modality and piece of what you do too is, like, breath work. So how do
Mhm.
you use breath in all this somatic medicine and, like, human design and Akashic Records and this, everything that you do?
That's a great question. I mean, I do feel like breath is like, we know through like our nervous system and our autonomic nervous system that our breath is truly the one thing that we can control in our
Mhm,
autonomic nervous system. It's really hard to like control how your blood is pumping and how your heart is operating and how your spleen and your other organs are working. Um, but you can control your breath. And so I do feel like the breath is this one thing that we do have a lot of conscious connection with
mhm.
in order to create healing in our body, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's like through an Akashic Records session, I did one recently where it was very, very clear from the Akashic Records that, again, an anxiety that somebody was experiencing throughout their entire life, like really had so much to do with something that was like in the womb,
Mm,
and seeing it and feeling it and noticing it. And that breath was the way that they could consciously take like that power back,
mm,
and using the power of their breath to breathe out, the very subconscious, unconscious, pre-verbal inside
mhm.
of their mother
Yeah.
misbeliefs that they were buying into and that had been running the frequency in their body their whole life.
Mhm. Wow.
So whether it's through, awareness of your somatic body and using your breath. So for instance, that example that I gave earlier, yeah, like that person could like breathe in to that like heavy, dark energy that they were feeling in their chest and like use the power of their breath, like through like conscious intention and visualization to like move that sticky energy and sending it out, and really
Mhm,
choosing a place where we're sending it out to. Because I think what a lot of people don't realize is when they're doing breath work and when they're breathing, every time they like there's particles coming out of your breath.
mhm.
And if you're not being very directional or clear, like I feel like this is what we're going to start really, really fine tuning as a species,
Yeah.
is being very, very clear and intentional about where we're sending our frequency, So
Mm,
like when you go as you're
mhm.
doing breath work, it's
Yeah.
like watching all those particles. Like I always imagine that movie, The Green Mile,
Yeah.
and when that actor like took all that dark energy inside of people and then
Mhm.
like, and it all came out as those like yucky flies,
Yeah.
that's what's coming out when you're doing breath work.
Mm.
Like, so for people that are like clairvoyant, you know,
Yeah.
or that can see frequencies, they can see that stuff happening, right? Whether it's like Reiki or somatic healing or shamanic healing. That's why, like in shamanic energy medicine, you know, you're using a lot of like your breath, like you're moving energy out. You're being very, very clear of like pulling it up through your breath and like spewing it out,
Mhm.
like with water or alcohol or, you know, your breath,
Yeah.
fire, wind, and
Yeah.
air. So, yeah, it's just being very intentional about kind of where you're sending that frequency. Like, are you sending it up into the sun to like
Mhm.
disintegrate into the rays of the sun and the
Yeah.
power of the sun? Are you sending it down into a fire? You're sending it because a lot of times people might be doing that like in a healing space or in their home.
Yeah.
And it's they're kind of sending that frequency out. And then that frequency is just kind of like hanging around.
Mhm.
And these frequencies carry like vibration, right? So if they're a low vibration
Yeah.
frequency, they're gonna that frequency is like a magnet and it's gonna hang out and wait for somebody to walk into the house who's in a bad mood,
Mhm.
right? Or something yucky happened in their day. And then that frequency is going to attach to that frequency. And then it starts to do a dance. And then it creates a frequency in the person and around the person in the household. And then that frequency starts to dance with another person in the household. So
Mm.
when, like, I think when people become really aware
Yeah.
of like frequencies, they can start to see frequencies dancing like all over the place, you know? And that's, I think, also why it's super important to just be very conscious, intentional when you start your day, when you wake up, and really like surrounding yourself with like a bubble of white light. Because just imagine, you know, somebody walking down the street having a fight on the phone with somebody that they're talking to, and you walk by that person.
Mhm.
If you're super distracted on your phone, texting, unconscious, and you haven't had a really tight, like spiritual, energetic day,
Mhm.
you've eaten like really crappy food, or you've like been a part of like heavy conversations, or you're carrying your own heavy energy,
Mhm.
your threading is open.
Yeah.
And that's where these things, these energies can find pockets, right?
Mhm.
And our human design chart can show us where we're even a little bit more open in those pockets of energy, where we're more vulnerable to picking up those energies inside of ourselves.
Yeah. All the
So,
yeah. Oh my god. Like this is mind blowing too because it's like I've done breath work for so long, but I've never thought about like where is that breath going? Where is that frequency going? Because it's like I always think about what is the energy and I feel like I have a good vibe check of people in a way, but it's like there's even such debris of energy and frequency of like everywhere and it makes me think about even like cities where there's so many people and there's so much just compacted energy versus like even when I went to the Amazon in Peru one time and it's like there's nobody there. It's just so clear and magical in a way you like can't even describe.
yes.
Yeah. That's
Hmm.
crazy. Well, and even like I was telling you a little bit before this too, like I had like head trauma growing up and like anorexia and I did so much talk therapy, but not until I found breath work was when I truly experienced the like mind body connection and true like release of that and fully being in my body, not just like and like having that click 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 of like mind body soul connection versus scattered and apart or like somebody that you like you mentioned like leading with the mind too. So
Yeah.
it's powerful.
It is really powerful, right? And it's so beautiful too, because I think it gives people this, again, you like a space holder can't make people feel safe, but
Mhm.
hopefully their energy and their hygiene, like, their
Mhm.
energetic hygiene
Yeah.
is safe and clean so that they
Yeah.
are creating like, a container
Mhm.
for people to find that inside of themselves. And then when people breathe and they move through that arc of like breath work, right? It's like we teach
Mhm.
that in the training that they move through, activation, which is why the breathwork training I call it activation. But
Mhm.
then they have an experience of knowing that they stayed with themselves, right? Even though they were uncomfortable, even though there was emotion, even though there was thoughts, right? Even though there
Yeah.
might have been resistance or fear,
Mhm.
and they can stay with themselves. And then when you create that neural and nervous system experience inside of you of like, wow, I was with myself like on all levels of consciousness and I didn't leave myself. And I'm
Mhm.
still here at the end.
Yeah.
And, I was able to come back into like a grounded state inside of myself. That starts to like rewire, all those experiences that we've had in our life where we
Mhm.
haven't had intention or we haven't been safe or we didn't know how to stay with ourselves, right?
Mhm.
We drank or we used or we became codependent or we went up into our head or we got busy and became perfectionists or high achievers, right?
Mhm.
It's like it just heals on such a deep level and it's all inside of you. I mean, I think that's what I love about breath. It's not some healer putting their own energy or reiki or even shamanism, it's like
Mhm.
you and your
Yeah.
body.
Mhm. I mean, I feel like I go to some wild places that are just like
Oh yeah.
not here sometimes. Um Well, and with all of the we'll, like, link to too, like, in the show notes, like, how to where that people can work with you through breath work and, even be trained through your your breath work that you teach. I'm also, like, curious too, like, how as a, like, a healer yourself, how do you support yourself?
Uh, Doing like the somatic medicine process,
Mhm,
when my peace is disturbed, I
mhm,
would say that's like the biggest way that people can start is just notice when you catch yourself in some form of, I'm upset because
mm,
my
mhm,
peace is disturbed because
yeah,
I don't like this because. Most people try to fix the because or they try to go to the because part
yeah,
when really it's to go to what is upset, what is
mhm,
disturbed inside of you.
mhm,
So I practice that throughout the day. And even if I'm in a session or I'm in a meeting and I can't do it on the spot, I do make a note of it so that I can do that, whether it's in a bath at the end of the night or on a walk or,
mhm,
before I go to sleep and I do, my inventory before I go to sleep at night so I can clear my consciousness before I set my bedtime intentions. And I would say breath work is another huge way. I support myself by working with elements and using elements like every single day.
mhm, yeah,
I think it can be like there's all these, beautiful and like fancy things, but I've also been at times in my life as a single mother and a solo provider that I haven't had a lot of funds, or
mhm,
finances to do all the fancy things to
yeah,
take care of myself. So I'm grateful for that because it taught me like how to do that, like right here, right now, with whatever you have at your
mhm,
disposal right here and right now.
mhm, yeah,
Yeah. It can be in an instant. And I would say the more that people practice that skill of like somatic medicine and breath and
mhm,
frequency, the easier it becomes.
mhm,
It's like you can kind of do it like in a moment,
yeah, yeah,
especially if you have like a connection with something greater than you
mhm,
to
yeah,
help you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up, what is a reminder you want our listeners to carry with them coming out of our conversation today?
Mm. Just use everything in your life for your healing, for your growth, and for your remembering. remembering your soul and the truth of who you are and that thing that's greater than you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And where can everyone connect with you, learn more from you, and work with you?
Probably my website is a good place to start, gwendittmar.com, and my Instagram is also Gwen Dittmar. I have a newsletter. I also have a monthly membership. I would say that's a really great place to start. If somebody's new or they just want to experience, it's sometimes I know I need to experience people's energy before I can make a decision about something. So come do the membership for a month. It's $64. You get a somatic healing circle, breath work, a human design workshop, and an Akashic Records reading. So that's a great place to start, or come to an event in person.
There you go, in
Yeah.
LA. Or maybe you'll be somewhere else soon.
Yes. Yes. We also have breathwork training on the East Coast. So that's an option too.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for this just beautiful conversation and learning so much about our frequencies as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the We Shine Well podcast. If today's conversation lit something up in you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, leave us a review, and dive deeper each week by subscribing to our Substack in the show notes to interact with guests and discover more resources to expand you. Until next time, keep trusting your right next step and keep shining, my friend.